Hi, I'm Chelsea,
Hi, I'm Alexis.
and we're gonna talk about Zim.
Yeah.
We dusted off the old copy of Zim. Just, had a good old layer of dust and filth on it. Some of that good earth filth.
Alright, we won't take too long with this, but we did spend an hour looking for these DVDs, and we found them down back in the hole behind our wall of DVDs, and the only ones back there were Invader Zim and Fargo, which is strangely appropriate for Planet Jackers.
Of course.
So let's get to the episode.
Yeah, enough of our life story.
Okay, so right off the bat, you can tell this is from this kind of second batch of episodes. The colors look just a lot brighter. Kind of reminds you of some of the color palettes that you get to see in Walk of Doom.
Yeah. I was gonna say, just again, how dynamic this is compared to so many cartoons still. Even still. I mean, and stuff they animate now, they do a lot of Flash animated stuff, and they even have more capabilities in Flash than they used to have. But it's still, they tried so hard to keep them moving instead of just having their model on the screen in a pretty static
Oh yeah,
way.
like when Gerd jumps into Zim's observatory room, we get this great little couple of shots of him just skidding down, very unnecessarily dynamic and fun. I also liked the bounce after on the microphone after Zim pulled it in, he lets it go and it goes like a flang sort of thing. I don't even know if we got Foley work or anything on that. It just looked really satisfying.
Definitely. In terms of plot things, we can see that Zim is feeling insecure today, in that he has seen several of his classmates who he feels are failures. He's like, this person sucked at the academy, and then he looks up and they've already conquered their planet. So he's doing a little bit of that comparing himself to others thing, in a kind of rare moment of self-doubt here, that he gets interrupted by the events to follow of the planet being planet jacked. But, I mean, that kind of speaks to his emotional state at the start of this one, where he's kind of feeling insecure, so...
Almost a moment of introspection on his part, but no. Yeah, and they're great, all the invaders are farther along in their invasions than I am. I think we've all been there, where all your classmates are farther along, taking over their planets.
Yeah, I mean, I felt that way too. I've always been a late bloomer.
Death and destruction everywhere, and you're
I don't know if I've actually
kicking
bloomed
back
yet.
Also, a great moment of Zim taking stock of where he currently is, that he notes that something is broken, and it's not Gerd's fault.
I'm not 100% sure that they meant this to be a kind of, foiling sort of thing, but at least in a couple of the invaders that he spies in on, their Sir unit is sitting next to them as a functional and helpful thing, and then, you're kind of, pasting that against Zim, who has a non-functional Sir unit that he basically is like, something's broken and you didn't touch it, to kind of just say how useless his Sir unit is, so as not only not to help him, but to completely break his shit all the time.
Yep. So, with the scope broken, Zim needs a new one, and of course the Membrane household has the most advanced telescope in anywhere near him. And I love we get a short scene here, building the tension of Zim having to go up and ring Dib's doorbell. And for an invader who is looking at other people just completely conquering planets, we know that Zim is not shy about destruction and physical force. The fact that this is something he so badly does not want to do, endearing in a way that, yeah, it's a social issue, and Zim can't deal with this social shit. He's not good at that sort of thing.
He can't even deal with the members of his own race who honestly seem to be some sort of, like, at least semi-hive mind. You know, like, they're kind of programmed to like each other, at least, or to work together, because they're self-interested, but, you know, at the very least group-oriented, too. And even they don't like him.
And so we get Zim walking up there, some nice shots of the distance as he closes it between him and the door. I like the the design of the doorknob and, I don't know, doorknob plate on the membrane store. It's so unnecessarily science-y, Alexievich looking. All janky and Jonan-y too and fun. It's just a small place where it just could have been, you know, an oval would have done, but a fun, unnecessary touch. And Zim even face palms as he's going up to ring this doorbell. And, you know, in your gut, you know that Dib has been watching this through, like, the curtains, and he's already there, trembling to open the door. You know that Dib is just going out of his, I was about to say tiny little head, I can't believe it, going out of his
giant, enormous
even
head.
With all the room in there, it cannot contain the terror and excitement of his arch enemy walking up to his door to ring the doorbell, which is a good addition to the tension. And so, yeah, we get a great little scene between Dib and Zim of just, if we wanted to sum up their relationship in one scene, maybe that'd be a good candidate for it. As soon as Dib starts to, like, pry the door open slowly, Zim knocks it and, like, whacks him back.
Dib is doing his thing, where he's being theatrical. He's like, the evil, like, ha-ha, I got you. And Zim just smashes the door into his face, knocks Dib over. Dib's, like, hiding behind the couch, has to improv a lamp weapon of his dad's face, which is, you know, a typical type of thing that they would have.
We've all got
dad
membrane
lamps.
Oh, membrane lamps. Yeah. I mean, you know, when you've got merch of your own product, don't you just want to have it around?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, my guess is that Professor Membrane invented all the lights in this city, and he's like, for the small fee of having my face on it, you can have free electricity.
So yeah, honestly, I can't blame Dib, even if he is being a little melodramatic. He's being appropriately savvy about his history with Zim here. I mean, he makes the wrong choice-ish in not helping Zim out. Zim does honestly need assistance with a threat to Earth. But, you know, in the past, this could be a trick. This could totally be a trap. I mean, it's hard to fool Dib. So yeah, we'll get out there in front and say, yes, the Planet Jacker's plan is totally unfeasible, but this is also a universe where there are arm control nerves, so you're just gonna have to run with it.
I almost even think that in-universe it doesn't really work either. I mean, it could just as easily be like any kind of thing you do out of panic. If your sun is dying and you think that bringing planets into it makes it stay alive, then you do it. It's just like irrational behavior, and that's okay. You know, it's not necessarily actually working. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I do like that idea too, that it might just be like gross incompetence anyway, but the Zim world is a world full of gross incompetence from every angle.
I mean, later on they say, like, this one's full of critters
burn real good.
And it doesn't, in the context of a sun, like, critters don't matter none. It's completely silly, to be completely fair, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all.
Oh yeah. It's so fun to think of, like, how much resources would be used to, you know, make the giant television screen and assemble something that makes it, like, wrap around an entire planet. That tech is just so fun. It's so fun.
Yeah, definitely a bunch of just really out-of-the-box ideas. And I mean, what is this, like, episode 9 or something
Yeah.
of this show. And by this point in time, they're already having ideas that are just so much further out there. I mean, even by, like, their 3rd episode, they were doing stuff that was really far out there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, when we put in the DVD, I was like, oh, yeah, this is where the show starts getting weird. But, I mean, their 3rd episode is Zim goes around stealing organs to look more human. There's no show on air at the time with this level of creativity.
Oh, yeah, and the great thing also about it is that, you know, a show with this kind of setup, you expect that most of your show is just going to be fish out of water comedy because Zim's an alien, and he's on Earth now, and any show that's like, there's a robot that's on Earth now, or there's an alien that's on Earth now, is basically just about that creature or character learning Earth things, and the comedy comes from them not understanding Earth things. And while Zim doesn't understand all of the Earth stuff, that's not the conflict that goes on in this show on almost any episode.
Well, I'd also say that this show plays fish out of water so much differently than anything else. Because usually fish out of water, and I'm not a fan of that genre, I think that it generally is obnoxious. Because the jokes generally come from, this is a normal thing, and somebody doesn't understand normal thing. Isn't that weird or goofy? Not all the time.
But yeah, it's very othering.
But for Invader Zim, it's the other way around, of Zim doesn't get this thing. Isn't normal thing kind of terrifying? Or isn't this normal thing actually gross?
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. It's the world, the Earth in Zim is full of kind of terrifying things already. So, in a way, we as the audience are also out of water fish because this world is weird. But I think that you're right, it does emphasize a certain, like, grossness to humanity and reality that makes it more, like, I mean, Zim's episode with the germs basically is a great example of that because it's kind of the norm to want to not be full of germs, but there's just germs everywhere, and that the reality is disgusting, not Zim.
That's exactly the episode I was thinking about in this, that, like, when he looks at the baby with his goggles, the baby is one big germ. And it's kind of, I'd say maybe a spin on your classic, like, observational comedy. Like, what's the deal with babies? Babies are just one big germ. Only, you know, it's presented with this delicious, absurd horror comedy package that's so good.
Yeah. The couple of things that you wanted to note were that Zim says that he fixed the Voot Cruiser because the G-forces were messed up, and of course it's still messed up.
Immediately.
Because Zim can't fix anything for He's not... I mean, if it's not a weapon, he can't make it.
We get some good old stretch and squash on them both. Even Gur, who is made out of metal, and thus should not be getting compressed from G-forces. I'm not the first person to point this one out, but as they crash into the Planet Jackers TV screen all around there, Zim's eyeball pops out and he has to pop it back into place, you know, as though he were smoothing back his hair. It's nothing, you know. Maybe those are the ocular implants mentioned in Walk of Doom.
Could be that.
Or these bodies are grown. They aren't the actual Irkins, so I'm guessing that he's used to this level of maintenance. Irkins are also, like, over 100 years old. Like, Zim, at least, is over 100 years old. So I wouldn't be shocked if there's lots of maintenance that they have to do on their forms as well.
Yeah, I mean, especially depending on how organic the body itself is. You know, they might have to switch out their eyes every few years or every couple of decades. Who knows? I mean, it's really difficult to say what their whole body maintenance situation would be, but we do know that his eyes can pop out. That's really all that we need to know.
All right, so we get the little Fargo reference there with Nick and Uga doing the silence scene or whatever it's called.
Well, I mean, basically it's just kind of their dynamic. The way that they're both driving in a car, one of them has that more high-pitched...
It's a very Steve Buscemi-esque voice.
Yeah, it's a Steve Buscemi-esque way of talking, like, you ever been to a binary system? Like, just totally doing the thing. In case any of you are either too young or just haven't seen it, there's a movie called Fargo.
Well, with a TV show out now, I bet that...
It's true, but I'm pretty sure the TV show, it has that stuff in it, but it wouldn't be the exact reference this is, so...
Fair enough.
Yeah, Fargo, it's a movie. There are two characters that one is kind of like a big guy, doesn't talk very much, and the other one is Steve Buscemi, and he's kind of just Steve Buscemi.
Who do you think our audience is that they haven't heard of Fargo, but they know who Steve Buscemi is?
Okay, so he's like a high-pitched, sort of annoying, but annoying in the way where you're very endearing and very funny. I don't know. Steve Buscemi's fabulous. Oh, I know why they would know Steve Buscemi. You know the, what's up, fellow kids?
Yeah,
he's the fellow kids meme guy.
As soon as I said that, I realized he's a very memeable gentleman, so yes, probably...
They might not know that's Steve Buscemi, but that's Steve Buscemi.
You know, he seems to get around Tumblr for, I'd say inexplicably, but I like Steve Buscemi. So anyway, this is an Invader Zim podcast.
But, I mean...
Welcome to our Steve Buscemi podcast.
We will also put out one episode of Steve Buscemi cast once per year, obviously, just like this one.
What would we call a Steve Buscemi podcast? Oh, I got nothing. I think you could edit something together there, but...
Well, you thought wrong.
Edit this part heavily, please.
Yeah, to make us sound funny, I'll try.
Yeah, Zim comes up and he's going, you know, like, why are you taking Earth? We've got the Urkins have a treaty with the Planet Jackers, and I find it funny that their race is just called the Planet Jackers? Like, how long have they been doing this? That seems like it would be a derogatory term.
Oh, I actually have an idea here.
Oh, yeah?
So, I guess I'd think at least in terms of how something might logically work for me, it would be that they realize their sun is dying. Then they get into space travel trying to solve this problem. And so the reason that they would have met any other alien races would be when they started to space travel, which was when they were trying to steal planets. Like, if their theory is we steal planets to make our sun fixed, then the only reason under which they would have interacted with other alien races at all is from planet jacking. And the Urkins probably are the ones making these derogatory terms for them anyway.
Yeah.
You have this kind of energy between them where, yes, these guys have heard of the treaty between them and the Urkins, but they don't really seem to fear Zim very much here. So, I do think that there must be some kind of tension there, where it's not really a fully, like, oh, we fear Urkin retaliation if we blow off one of their soldiers. I mean, if they had a really deep respect for this treaty, or even a deep fear of the Urkins, they definitely wouldn't go like, F you, and they're just...
Yeah, these guys clearly do not give a Zim, and you're right, that it kind of, for like a narrative structure, yeah, of course, we need our antagonists to blow off our protag here, and to be very, very strong, and be more scary in comparison, but yeah, they don't know that Zim is the butt monkey of the Urkin Armada.
I mean, yeah, we could have had that happen. They could have, honestly, we could have had an even funnier situation that could have occurred where, like, so they pause and they're carrying the planet for a second.
Mm-hmm.
They call up Tallest, right? And they're like, there's this, what'd you say your name was? Zim! Like,
yeah.
There's this Zim out here saying he owns this planet, and that we're not allowed to take it, and they're like, yeah, just take it. Like, they could totally be like that. It would have been very funny, and Zim would still have had to have done what he did.
Zim would have been like, they didn't call the Tallest, they're lying! I think it'd be a fun scene.
Or he'd say, like, the Tallest are challenging me!
Yeah. That could have been cute. I wouldn't want to cut anything from how tight this episode is, though. Or, I mean, add anything to it, sorry. You were also noting that, yes, there's heavy use of CG in this episode. And
still looks good.
Oh, no, it is good. This is good use of CG. Because they use it for environments, and CG still doesn't work very well when added to 2D as far as characters. Like, there's going to be a CG Zim coming up in a shot soon that we'll see how janky it looks, but for the most part, they're limiting their CG to the ships, and then we've got, I don't know if skybox would still be the right term, but the galaxy and universe and everything out there, that's a skybox, and it looks great, especially with the, I don't know the style of music that Manthi's going for this one, but he's got some different instruments going on. It's not as techno and synth heavy as usual. It's a very unsettling but cool sort of feeling, which adds to
more broad, like they're out in space, you know.
Oh yeah, it definitely adds to the majesty of it. What else? Do we have something else?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say there's also this great subtle comedy moment. It's in the cockpit of the Planet Jackers, and there's this light music playing, like elevator style music that's just, you know, the type of music you'd expect inside of a kind of like boring.
It's giving the notes of comedy in there to make it seem very mundane.
Right, and as they cut between Zim and the Planet Jackers, they actually cut the music for a second and then turn it back on when the Planet Jackers start speaking, and then cut back to Zim and the music's off again. And it gives a great sense of space there in the scene. It's kind of rare that you set up a scene where two people are talking from different rooms, unless they're like on the phone, something like that. And so that's kind of neat, you know, to kind of go from one atmosphere to the other atmosphere. And and then towards the end of the scene, they start playing like Manthe style music, and then it's over both of them.
Well, yeah, I mean, the difference in using the music and the silence there also helps to highlight the power dynamic. That Zim is freaked out and worried, and he's ready to yell at somebody because his mission is at stake. And the Planet Jackers are just having another day at work. You know, they got a good planet.
They're calm, they don't care, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, that adds to the fact that they have all the power in the situation.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good sum up of that situation.
All right, so we get a bit of a fight scene from Zim.
Wicked cool fight scene.
Yes. So initially, Zim is outside the ship just like banging away on it to get their attention. Or, I don't really know what exactly he's getting at there, but he does get their attention, and Uga gets out and get a nice shot of him out there showing that he has the key, and that there is a literal key that they use.
Yeah, there's like a keyhole. It's like a small keyhole on this giant, I mean, Earth-sized.
And so Zim goes to fight, and something we've mentioned before, and we'll definitely mention again, is that when Zim needs to be a threat, like, he gets out his spider legs. And whenever that happens in the show, he's some form of threat. We'll see that when he and Dib are brawling or fighting, like, on their feet, Zim has the capabilities of, like, an elementary school student. I mean, I guess Dib's a little bit of a better fighter than that, but as, you know, Jonan wrote in God Save the Dib, Dib's not supposed to be Spider-Man. He isn't supposed to be a great fighter. He's supposed to be a kid who might be a little scrappy, but that's all. So, Zim's not usually a threat until the spider legs come out. And we see that happen, we see him get into a fight, and then Uga literally rips them off of him. So, that's Zim's biggest asset in a fight, and he loses them.
Yeah, they make him very nimble and able to move and jump on the ship, and once he loses them, he's actually drifting through space without as much ability to manipulate himself.
Yeah, the legs anchor him to the ship, and Gur picks him up, you know, in a surprising red-eyed moment of competency, and Zim switches out his suit for some shoes that'll help him stay there, and some form of air bubble, and goes back down to fight again. We get a nice trucker moment of him in the side mirror Also love the idea of a spaceship with rear view and side mirrors. Again, going for that sort of trucker feel. I have no idea why they would need any of this. The Jackers are such a high-tech species. But anyway, Uga goes back out there. Like, Zim already lost his number one fighting tool. He's, if we're thinking like fighting styles and stuff, he's already lost his major asset in combat situations. And Uga, who's like, I'd say easily like 8 times his size? Way more burly, clear physical threat, goes, escalates to violence. And Zim gets his coolest moment in the entire freaking series, where he squares up for a fight and goes, sure, why not? I think Zim didn't expect violence here. I think most people would, but Zim didn't plan for it. And
well, he planned to be a distraction, but I don't know how much he planned to be literally beaten to a pulp.
Yeah, and it's a pretty good, tough moment for Zim, and a reminder that he will do anything to complete his missions. Horvitz's line read there is also pretty bad. He doesn't make him squeak. He doesn't make him, get blustery, sure, why not?
He's not, false competency there, where he's bragging, has an ego on it, or whatever. He's actually trying to be tough.
And that's the thing. I don't think that there's an that's what makes it so cool. There's no effort on Zim's part to be tough there. That is him gritting down, and that is, I think, a genuine response without any of his usual bluster. That's what's so cool. He's not trying to act tough. He's legitimately, honestly just tough there, and that's cool. You gotta chalk one up for the little guy there.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
The pods from the Voot Cruiser cut the Earth free, and it just floats aimlessly away through space.
I think that was the moon. They were carrying the Earth and the moon.
Yeah, the moon had its own little...
had a mini... I mean, obviously you want to make sure that no one on the moon notices that you've stolen them, right?
It's got some, little mini Tupperware container. It's
like
something you put,
Can I have a doggy box for the moon, please?
If you've got your bento and you're eating lunch, you've also got the sauce container.
Oh, yes. We just want some dip, for my carrots with the moon.
I love the muted screams of thousands as the moon crashes very carefully crashes into the ocean, not a continent. Make sure that Standards and Practices sees that it didn't really hurt anybody, even though there's millions screaming.
I like that Dib sees it too. He's just oh, well, I guess maybe there was something going on. He looks up and the, other sun is there.
I think that the CG, the fight sequences, they're just so good and everything. It's hard to call this an extra touch, but in an episode that's already so hard-working and already went above and beyond, the real, just panache of it is that they keep cutting back just 2 or 3 times to the people on Earth watching this happen. It's beyond icing on top of the cake. And then Dib just looks up. We don't get a line from him or anything for his reaction. Just Dib knows that Zim was telling the truth. We don't have to hear him say, oh no, or feel bad. He knows.
Yeah, I'd also say this episode's a really great mix of comedy and drama. It's very hard to pull that off because this one is consistently funny through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's short, like Alexa said. It's very tightly written. There's not any fluff in this, other than I'd say making sure they animate little stuff. I'm just saying there's no script fluff. I'd say that you have the drama of the destruction of Earth paired with just great physical and timing-based comedy in a lot of the scenes where The interactions between Zim and Oog are very funny.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much delivery-wise on Richard Horvitz's part, just top-notch. His, I think I'm through with you. Like, it's just like, the way they drew his face just completely destroyed.
The smudges of his green Irken blood on the outside of his
Getting his head repeatedly stepped on with that kind of squeaky noise.
Oh, yeah.
Just the timing, it's very good. It's very funny. High drama, but very high comedy. This one's probably... It's hard to say what the best episodes of the show are, but this one's just so funny and so good.
I think that this one doesn't have a lot of the lines that get quoted, but if you go back and watch it, I think that, like, you know, minute by minute, second by second, there's always something fun or interesting going on in this one.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't say that this one is in any way a quotable episode. It's because all of it was in the entire presentation as a whole. You can't, like, put it on a t-shirt and have it be funny. It's not script funny, necessarily. It's visual plus music plus, you know, voice actors' delivery and the way it's set up that makes it funny.
And, again, something that Invader Zim does really well, there's a lot of tension building in this episode. And watching tension being built is really, really fun. Like, it's enthralling. It keeps you there. What else? Yeah, I also like the moment, like, the moon crashing into the Earth and then cutting immediately to Zim saying, "The Earth is saved."
Yeah. See, the thing is, like, saying the Earth is saved isn't funny, like, put it on a t-shirt funny. It's the contrast of seeing the moon hits the Earth, and you see this giant fucking sun just, like, right in front of the Earth, where it's just, like, aimlessly floating through space, and Zim goes, "Yes, the Earth is saved!" Like, that's what's funny. The funniness is in how it's built.
Also, for our continuity check here, the Earth is now within the solar system of the planet Jackers. That doesn't get fixed.
Well, I mean, eventually, somehow the Earth gets back to where it needs to be because they visit Mars and such later.
While we're hopping on to the crazy theory train, because we do that all the time,
Mm-hmm.
This took place over the course of one day. What if the planet Jackers' planet is one of the other planets in our solar system? I mean, we already know that Mars and Mercury once held life.
Okay, that's fair.
Maybe. What if we don't even know that the sun is dying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like human beings, all suns are dying.
Okay, I think we're done here.
We all march inevitably towards our dying sun, my friend. Time marches on, and we don't make episodes very often.
Yeah, with that, we'll see you guys in another 8 to 9 months.
Yeah.
There'll be new episodes of Invader Zim by the time you get another episodes out of us.
And speaking of, I think we can all be very hype about the fact that there's a movie, and we did hear about it, so you don't need to tell us. Thank you for anyone who did, for the many people who did.
It was very kind of you.
We appreciate you, and we love you.
Yeah, Jonan said it was going to be 66 minutes long, so we've got that sort of
TV
movie length. That'll be nice. I mean, we've seen before that they can do really good stuff with a full, 24-minute episode, so 66 minutes is going to be nice.
It'll be really interesting to see what they come up with. I mean, Jonan seems like he's written for TV more than he's written for movies, and sometimes when you have to write for a movie rather than TV, it can be hard, but I don't want to doubt it before I've even seen any of it, so...
Honestly, I think that Invader Zim is a show that'll do well with, TV movie length episodes and stakes. A lot of times when you get a clash of, style and tone, like, say when, the Rugrats did their movie,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden you had a show that was about, babies seeing adventure where there was none, or where they were getting in, a little bit of trouble. And there was a nice balance there, but then for the movie, they're like, okay, we're gonna add another character, and then they're seriously in trouble, and they have a moment where they're out in the woods dying. And that felt pretty wrong. And
yeah, I guess so. Though I will say that that if we're picking out movies of animated shows, the Rugrats movie actually wasn't so bad. If you want a really bad one, talk about like Doug movie or something like that.
Yeah, I think a lot of times it doesn't feel right when they try to raise the stakes or spend more time looking at characters' emotional well-being under times of duress. And it's hard not to do those things with a movie when you're like, man, I wanna bust these characters out and really do something special because this is our one shot. But I think that Invader Zim is going to work pretty well in a long form thing.
Oh, I'm very hopeful and very excited.
Well, no. Like, this is, I have reasonings behind this. That because every episode is already dialed up to 11. So there's already so much at stake that they have something that'll make for good movie fodder. If they were to blow it out and say, like, okay, now it's the Urkin Armada and this and that,
I'm so hyped for our dreams to come true and Dib to go to space.
Yes. I want Dib in space.
Dib in space.
Let Dib say, no, let Dib go to space.
We're not supposed to say
You bleep them out anyway.
I will, but it's work. So, join us next time when we review the Rugrats movie. And then
Rugrats movie co-starring Steve Bushemi.
And then we will follow that up with the Rugrats in Paris. And then everything in Steve Buscemi's discography. And then after that, we might do another episode of Zim. You know, if we have time.
Email us your Steve Buscemi Rugrats headcanons, and we'll see you next time.
Please don't. No, not me. You can send it to her.